Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this week's MMA Huddle. We're going to jump straight into the breakdowns momentarily. But first, hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much to everyone so far who has clicked and joined us on this journey. It's a bit of a different one. We're on Google, what's it called again? Google Hangouts this time. So it'll be jump between me and Will whenever we're talking, because Skype, again, is a pain in the hoop. But fingers crossed they can figure out their awful update and fix it. But in the meantime, we're going to go straight to the Kevin Lee Iaquinta card. We're going to start the bomb. We're going to, just because we may have discussed this already and I forgot to press record, and we're going to go through the early card, the Fight Pass prelims. We're going to give our picks on who and why pretty quick. So sorry about this, folks, but we've already done about 25, 30 minutes. I forgot the record. Okay, well, so bottom three fights, you've got Chris De La Rocha, Drew and Adams. Then you've got in the middleweight division, we've got Trevor Smith, Zach Cummings, and then light heavyweight division, you've got Adam Milstead and Mike Rodriguez. Will, which three are you picking on those matchups?
I will, starting from the bottom in the heavyweights there, I've got Juan Adams over Chris De La Rocha. The reasons are I think that he's got a pace that I don't think many heavyweights, especially at the lower level, can keep up with this guy. Now, he is only 4-0, so he's very, very young in his MMA career. But like you say, he's got big power. He's never been out the first round. He's got a good pace to him, and he can definitely break people. And De La Rocha is open, chin in there to be hit. So I think that Juan Adams will beat him in the first round. Moving on to middleweights, which little bit surprised. I thought it was actually going to be welterweight. I never thought that Zach had moved himself back up. I like Zach Cummings. I think he's got more energy. I think he can go a little bit longer. I think he can keep his back off the fence. I think he can keep from getting taken down, which is Trevor Smith. He's not going to stand out there and outstrike you. He's going to want to take you down, grind on you. I think that Zach Cummings will be able to get underhooks against, if his back's against the cage, he'll be able to turn position, and he'll just, I think, outwork Trevor Smith, and then eventually it'll start to happen because Trevor Smith, his chin's in there. Zach Cummings can crack him. So I'm going to go a third round TKO there. Light heavyweights, we kind of talked about this, the last thing there before we realised we want to record, and was Adam Milstead against Mike Rodriguez. And I kind of say that Milstead came from a wrestling kind of background and he grew up in it. He did, but he doesn't really use that. He kind of gets engaged into the brawl, and Mike Rodriguez is the kind of guy that likes getting engaged in a brawl. The betting line's off in this one, in my opinion. Like -200 Adam Milstead in a UFC fight is a little bit whack to me. Mike Rodriguez, like, very powerful, very long, got the height and reach advantage here. If he can avoid being put in his back like he did against Devin Clark, I think he can catch Adam Milstead with shots, start to bust him up. Milstead's got a high kind of tolerance for taking shots, but I think he's going to catch something and get taken out in this fight. So my three picks on the UFC Fight Pass prelims: Adams, Cummings, Mike Rodriguez.
Nice. Okay, I'm going to go quickly with my picks. Actually, all are the same as Will's. My reasons are very similar, but I think with De La Rocha, he's just an easier option for the UFC to give Adams at this stage of his career. I think Adams, though, has still got a lot to learn. If you watch his striking, he is not very, he doesn't move his head a lot. He's very static, so he is there to be hit. I just don't think De La Rocha's got the counter striking or the movement to get those strikes in. He'll land, but if you were a smart striker, you'd be able to slip the angles and pop and land on Adams often. But I think Adams will get the win here. Big weight. The fact is it's going to take a toll. Second round, I'm going for on De La Rocha to get stopped. Zach Cummings again. I think he'll get a decision win over Trevor Smith because Trevor Smith's just tough. But the problem is Zach Cummings, grappling wise, he can stop the takedowns. Striking wise, far superior striker. I just see more and more coming out of Zach Cummings on the strike game. He's doing a lot of work, and it's really shown in the last few fights if you watch them. So, decision win for Zach Cummings. Again, Mike Rodriguez, I think he'll stop Adam Milstead. I think Adam Milstead is silly because he just gets involved in brawls too much. I think Mike Rodriguez is so spontaneous with the random strikes that he can land on people, the random kind of strikes and array that he does, the flying knees, all that good stuff. I just think Mike Rodriguez, I go third round. Not third round, sorry. Second. No, third. Yeah, late second, early third round, I think, when they both get a bit more tired, but I think you just wear out Adam with the strikes he lands. Okay, so we're going to go to the next fight. Jessica Rose Clark versus Andrea Lee. Will, this is an interesting fight. Why don't you break it down?
Well, this is the point we got to the last time where Jones went, well, I'm like, yeah, we're not recording.
My bad.
Great. Yay. But yeah, we're at it now. We're at where we were at before. So we've caught up fairly quick. And yeah, I'm kind of a little bit interested in this fight because obviously Andrea Lee's been in the kind of news for all their own reasons. Jessica Rose Clark has kind of had those same problems in the past regarding some things like that as well. So and I actually think this is just an interesting fight. I don't know what it is with Andrea Lee fights. I'm kind of invested in her fights because I'm wanting to fade her every fight. I don't know why. She's, like I said, I think she's a really decent fighter, but she's one of those fighters that comes out to me and like she's always a big favourite, and the underdogs are. Maybe it's just because I like to bet a little bit, but I see those numbers, and that kind of caught me out the last time with Veronica Macedo. She's got some talents. I just don't think she's ever going to put them together. I really don't. I think she's got a lot of stuff there, but I don't know whether she's kind of mentally there. So KGB, she's kind of known as a striker. She's got takedowns. She showed it in that fight there. She outstruck Macedo and stopped Macedo from really getting anything off on the ground, which is something she has done in the past. Jessica Rose Clark, I think I bet her against Paige Van Zandt. I bet her against Beck Rollins, and I tried to bet her against Jessica, and that just didn't work. Jessica looks like she's made improvements. She's probably got herself a title fight, I would think. And it was a close-ish fight, but I definitely edged it kind of across the whole entire fight. I like Rose Clark here. I think she's going to stuff takedowns and then get takedowns herself. I think she's, from some of the posts that I've been seeing online, she's been working a lot on her grappling. I think she can stay relevant kind of on the feet or competitive, I should say, on the feet with KGB. I think she will definitely have a speed disadvantage. I think KGB will mix it up and she'll definitely land a lot of strikes. But I think Rose Clark will get some off herself, but I don't think she can keep it standing for 15 minutes and win this fight. I think she's got to mix it up. She's got to be the aggressor, get takedowns. So I'm going to take Jessica Rose Clark to win via decision. But I see it being close and I can see it going either way. It's one of these girl fights that they could be similar strikes. They could each have a couple of takedowns each, and it just is who wants it more at the end there. So I'm going to go Jessica Rose Clark via decision.
She's a heavy favourite as well, Andrea Lee.
Yeah.
Compared to the two of them, yeah. Big favourite. Which I'm surprised about, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah.
Big surprise. Man, like Andrea Lee, striking-wise, all day long. She's actually got some submission. She's got some submissions on her back as well. So that is something Jessica Rose Clark really has to be on point with. Like you said, she has been working with Coach Casey. People who don't know, he is an awesome dude, 10th planet guy, absolute ninja. Again, she has been doing a lot of work and on the grappling side of things. Again, Andrea Lee as well. She's not slouching. She's off to different gyms, training different faces, different people, different coaches. So she's getting a good array of kind of knowledge from her. So I'm actually quite interested in how both of these girls go. I want to see the kind of fortitude that Andrea Lee has, because this fight week's going to be probably a bit testing on it if you think about it. Like not only weight cutting, the questions, etc., mentally. So I'm big fan of Andrea Lee. Spoke to her a few times, interviewed her a few times. She's a great person, beautiful human being. But it's a hard one, because I think that if Andrea Lee cannot stop the takedowns, she's going to have a tough time. So I think the wrestling side of things Jessica Rose Clark could offer could maybe just win those points and tick those points on the board, get those 3 rounds, just get the timings for the right time with those leg kicks coming in from Andrea Lee to get the takedowns in. Maybe she gets herself those points. I am torn on this one, because I think Jessica could absolutely get a decision win here with the takedowns. I'm gonna go decision Lee, but I'm not overly confident. Only because I think she might just land a bit more, like you said before, Will, about the striking on the feet. I think that she might get a bit. I think on the ground, Andrea Lee might be able to hold Jessica a bit, so she doesn't get a lot off on the ground, so that the striking then becomes what actually scores more than the takedown. Because as much as you get a takedown, if you land more strikes, so I think she might just edge it slightly in the decision, but not overconfident. It's a fantastic matchup though. If you watch these girls both, if you watch their footage, it's a beautifully intriguing matchup. And like you said about so go ahead.
It's like what you need to. It's become more aware to me kind of through the year is like women's fights, super close, and fights that you think is going to be close usually are. So betting underdogs usually a bit like last weekend, the 2 girl fights, 2 out of the 3 girl fights I should say. Chukagian was the favourite, she lost. Gedalia was a big favourite, she lost. So yeah, it's not bad taking a kind of shot on underdog.
Claudia.
Yeah, she's dipping, she's gone. But Ansarov was so good; she used her jab so well in that fight. But yeah, I was just saying, it's just like women's fights can be super close, and taking the shot on underdog's not a bad thing at all.
Yeah, especially with the odds at Rose at the moment, it's like 11-5.
Yeah,
so that's money in the bank. If you jump on it now, folks, because that obviously come fight time, come weigh-in time, that could absolutely flip over, couldn't it? Will yourself?
A lot closer by fight time.
Yeah. Next up, we have in the featherweight division, Will. We've got Dan Ig against Jordan Griffin going on. Okay, so now Dan Ig is actually not just a fighter; he works with the terrorist Ali Abdulaziz. So he's like the he works in some facet of they branch it off the dominant company. So, but Mr. Griffin, though, let's talk about him. He's not a terrorist. He's a regional fighter. Let's put it that way. He's done the rounds on the regional scene for a plethora of guys, fought on top promotion, and then got on a Dana White show, weirdly enough, and then won and got into the UFC. That's a hell of a match though to go into, Dan Ig, isn't it? Because we know Dan Ig, super aggressive. Last fight lasted, what was it, 40 seconds or something like that? I think it was, maybe. Yeah. Was it about 40 seconds? So Jordan has to come out on his toes. If I'm honest with you, if I'm Jordan, I'd be popping that jab straight away. Just really trying to break down Dan's pace. He'll want to come out aggressive. Just pop that jab out. Keep him at distance. Keep him at range. Just pop that jab. Just keep Dan thinking. Down on the ground, he seems legit on the ground, aggressive on the ground. Beautiful power in his ground strikes. I noticed he had a very good ground and pound. Man, my only worry for Jordan Griffin is his striking. It's weird. He's got power in his hands, but he's not got really good striking. It's some of the combos he throws, like the hooks, they're just not good technique. But somehow when they land, people just wobble. So he's got something in there. He's got some kind of dynamite in those fists. So don't get me wrong. If he could get thrown them bad boys, Dan could have fun. But I think Dan might be able to. I think Dan's interest in this fight is come out aggressive, grab Mr. Griffin, get him down, and go for that submission. That is his goal. I think he could do it, if I'm honest with you. I think he could get it. I think that I'm going to go Dan submission. I'll go second round because I want to give Jordan the benefit of the doubt for his experience and knowledge in the fight game that he's been around a while. But I just think Dan starts at such a pace. You have to start at that pace with him because if you don't, you're always playing catch up and it's a nightmare to do it. But I'm going to go Dan Ig second round, even though he works for the terrorist.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on Ige. I actually think he's got a little bit of potential, Dan Ige. I don't think he's going to break the top 15 or whatever in the featherweight division because that's a hard enough thing to do. But I think he's going to keep himself relevant and win fights in the UFC, and especially these type of fights here where the guys aren't super high-level guys yet. They're not really known guys. Like Mike Santiago was not really a known guy. I know he'd fought and I think he'd maybe won a fight in the UFC. But these type of fights, I think Ige should win fairly comfortably, I want to say. You got to remember, he's like, I think he was a partner for Khabib in the corner fight. He was around, I think him and Khabib are really, really close friends, and he helped Khabib quite a bit in that matchup. So
management company.
Yeah, it's obviously they're all kind of mixed together with Ali and
terrorist.
Yeah, I think that I just think he's. I don't want to say he's a level above Jordan Griffin, because Griffin's very kind of aggressive, but I think he's open for a lot of. I just think he's a little bit open for things. I think Ige, he's quick. He can strike. I think he can grapple. I just think Griffin's a little bit kind of like a freestyle fighter. There's nothing that really stands out with him. I think he's decent at everything, but I think Ige is just a little bit better across some of those aspects. Like the fact that Griffin comes from a really good camp in Rufus Sport, and this is a big week for kind of Rufus Sport guys and Milwaukee guys because they're fighting at home. But I can't say I was super impressed with Jordan Griffin and what I watched. So I'm going to go Dan Ige. I think he can maybe get a stoppage. I think he could easily get a decision as well.
Nice, bro. Okay, I'm going to go next up to the middleweight division, folks. Gerald Meerschaert, Jack Hermansson. Woo-wee. Dang, what a fight that is. Like, and we're going to give kudos to Jack Hermansson with that Tal Slater's fight where, what was it he did to his knee? Like, was it his knee or 5?
Was it his rib?
Rib, sorry. There you go, ribs.
Yeah.
Rib, like, so straight away you go, right, you find a guy, and if anyone has ever done their ribs in, I have, it's horrendous. It is, honestly, I've busted my face, I've busted my hands, my legs, my everything. My ribs are the worst bit of it all. It's horrendous. So Jack Hermansson has got some cojones, ladies and gentlemen. But it's find a guy in Gerald Meerschaert who is just a smart mother. Dude, like, he's technically really good on the striking. He's solid on the grappling. Man, like, I probably want to get this to the ground because I want to see Jack Hermansson's ground and pound face Gerald's submission game. So that's like a battle of the bat in that fight that I'm really interested in. Like, who can get theirs to win, or who can be the winner in that sense? Like, can Gerald offer a submission offense that stops Jack being able to think about striking and more focus on defending, or would it be vice versa where Gerald can't even focus to throw a submission because he's getting pounded in the face? So that's a good one. On the feet though, Jack Hermansson, super aggressive dude. On the feet, I like the fact the way he fights. I just think Gerald might come out a bit slow. That's my only worry to start the round off. I think that hopefully Gerald can just go out and be on his toes a bit more straight away, expect a bit of aggression because Jack Hermansson brings that. If I'm both guys, I'd probably want to keep it on the ground, only because if I'm Jack, I don't want to be on my back with Gerald. That would be a worry because if you're on your back, then Gerald can be a bit of a nightmare on top with not just the grappling side of things, it's the ground and pound and strike. But then again, vice versa, you think what Jack's done on the ground with the ground and pound, you got to be careful with that. So I think both guys will tend to opt for the stand up. The grappling will be a second option. And I'm going to go, if it's on a striking basis, I'm going to go with Gerald. I just think Gerald, he's not. I just like the kind of variations that he has, especially with Duke Rufus at the helm, with the kind of work that they do, the drills that they do. He's got good fundamentals with it. I just think Gerald can get off the better striking. I think that Jack can land the heavier strikes, but I think Gerald can land the better quality of strikes in the fight. So it's not easy to pick it, but I'm going to go Gerald with a decision because I think both of them have got head like coconut, so they can both take a kick and a bit of a punching. So I'm going to go Gerald decision, but it's going to be a crack. This is a potential fight of the night because what they both can offer in a fight game.
Yeah, it's a really good, well-matched fight, actually. I like it a lot. It's one of the ones I'm looking forward to because, like I say, us over here in Europe, we always kind of keep an eye on the European guys, especially guys that came through Cage Warriors and won belts and moved on. And Jack Hermansson's a warrior. He's an absolute warrior. I would hate to kind of get ready for a fight against this guy because he's a big dude. First of all, he kind of moves funny. He's herky-jerky. He's a tough guy to kind of get ready for, someone like that. And the one thing that kind of jumps out to me is his ground and pound is legit. If that guy gets you in any position where he can throw big shots, you're in deep trouble. I think he's got one of the best kind of ground and pound games, or underestimated kind of ground and pound games in the whole entire UFC. Because if he gets that position where he's got a hand over your back and he's raining down right hands, you're in big trouble. The one thing that kind of worries me is that Meerschaert, he finds a way to win kind of fights. He doesn't lose that many fights, and the guy's closing in on like 40 odd fights. I know he lost a fair amount earlier on in his career, but that's kind of learning experience going forward. Since he's come into the UFC, I think he's who did I pick last time out? Pihota. Oh yeah, I was super into Oscar Pihota in that fight. I thought he was going to win, and then Gerald Meerschaert comes out and taps him out in the second round. He TKOs Eric Spicely beforehand. So the guy's you don't really see him go to decision all too much. When you look at his record, he's like TKO, submission, TKO, submission. So he's got a lot of stoppages. So that means he's a super dangerous fighter at any time. So you have to be careful with him. I think if he was to get to the ground, I think he could find the back of Jack Hermansson, and we have seen him give up his back a couple of times in the UFC. And if you do that with Meerschaert, he'll take your head home, because he's obviously a bit of a sniper on the ground. Once he gets an opportunity, one shot, one hit, he'll take you out. But I think he's kind of messing with Jack Hermansson's kind of best strong point of his fight game personally, and that's his ground and pound. I think if he was to maybe take his back and then he maybe get reverse positioned, then he's open for ground and pound. I think he's in deep trouble, and I think that Jack Hermansson's pace can actually wear Meerschaert out in this fight. I'm going to go Jack Hermansson to win via TKO in round number 3. I think that will and that pace of Jack Hermansson, he never stops. Like he showed in the latest fight, I bet him in that fight, and I was like, when I seen him clutching at his ribs in the second, I was like, oh no. Comes out in the third round and stops him. Crazy fight. So I'm going to go Jack Hermansson TKO round number 3.
Nice, bro. Nice choice. Next up in the lightweight division, okay, Gerald Jordan taking on Joaquim Silva. I like the matchup, bro, because I think both of these guys are fun additions. They're fun guys in the lightweight division, man. So what do you see happening now?
This is one of the ones that I saw the betting line. I was like, ooh, this line is off, and it's juicy enough for me to maybe go and bet it. I like Joaquim Silva in this fight, and I like him. I think that Jared Gordon's aggression he's gonna walk into shots, and he's gonna get hit with big shots, and I think he has the potential to be put down in this fight. Jared Gordon shows that he comes forward super aggressive, and he's there to be hit, and I think that could show in this fight. I think that Gordon will look for takedowns, because I think he's a wrestler per se, but he doesn't really use it too much, and he's quite sloppy when he does try and use the wrestling. Joaquim Silva's shown that he can stop takedowns in a couple of fights that he's been in with Madadi. I think he stopped a few, but like when you look at who he's faced in the UFC, I mean, I don't think any of the 3 guys that he beat is even in the UFC. He was supposed to face, I think, Tysonov at one point. So he was going to get that big kind of step up an opponent from Holbrook and Malagari. It's an interesting fight because I think that Gordon, he's obviously coming off a loss, so that's always an eye opener. You've got to change things up a little bit. And his opponent, Carlos de Oliveira, is a really good opponent as well. Let's put that out there. But he has got a fighting style which is in your face. He's there. he could easily kind of, I don't want to say style on you, but he could easily, like, his output could maybe break fighters. But I don't think he's going to do that with Joaquim Silva. I think that Silva's going to be right there in the pocket, looking to counter strike with this guy, and I think he will hit him with a big shot and hurt him and then put him down. So I'm going to go Joaquim Silva, I think, by pick a stoppage or decision. I'll go stoppage because I think he does hurt him at some points. I think the aggression, he'll come forward, he'll eat a big shot, and Joaquim Silva could follow up with some ground and pound. So I'm going to go Joaquim Silva for the win there.
Nice. Okay. Well, look, I have to say that fight against Vince Pichel that Joaquim had, I was big on Vince Pichel to stop him, to put his lights out, because Vince Pichel's got some power. And look, he took his shots, you know. Mr. Silva took a hit in the face a few times. He kept coming aggressive, kept throwing his own. And that to me showed a lot. You know, he's got fantastic conditioning. He can go the full 3 rounds with a good pace and a good output of power. Like grappling-wise, he's got offense and defense, which is shown to me that he's quite a solid fighter. Gerald, Jordan, like you said, coming off a loss. And that over-aggression can bite you in the ass, especially if someone has got footwork and a jab. If you've got footwork and a jab, doesn't matter how aggressive you are, you're just going to eat a jab in the face all day long. And one thing Silva's got is he's got a good pop with his jab. He's got a good pop. He's got a good pop with his hands. I don't think he'll get a stoppage. I think something that Gerald Jordan will probably be okay to handle the strikes, handle the power. But I think Silva probably get a decision win here. I can just see him getting the jab just to literally pick away at Gerald's face. I think he's just got an output that for 3 rounds he can just circle around. There'll be some grappling exchanges. I think Silva can keep it standing. And I think it will just get frustration going for Gerald. I just think he won't be able to get things going, won't get things timings right. And I think he'll just be kind of clutching at straws at some point when he's chasing. But I'll go decision win for Silva. Yeah, I just think the kid's got a lot of potential to become a solid addition in the lightweight division. I don't know if I've seen much in him that's going to make me go, he's going to be a challenger for the title. Maybe just could be early days, but he's a solid kind of guy and he's a good addition. Lightweight division coming up again. Woo-wee. Bobby Green against Drakkar. Close, Will. Now, let's talk about Drakkar first. He is a good grappler, aggressive guy. He showed that he can throw some good hands, throw some good leather. That the Iaquinta fight, we can go back to that, where he just literally busted him up, showed that he's got potential. But my kind of asterisk on this fight is Bobby Green. What Bobby Green is going to rock up? Because you never know. It's really frustrating. You don't know where his mindset is. If Bobby Green turns up, kind of like the Eric Koch fight, he'll stop. He can stop takedowns he can stop the takedowns, and his hand speed in that division is enough to beat any dude. Like Bobby Green's got a ridiculous hand speed. That 1-2 is lightning. Like him, Michael Johnson, those 2 dudes had like 2 of the fastest 1-2s you'll see pop out of people's hands. Faster than he's got faster hands than Dustin Poirier. A lot, like the dude is fast with his hands, man. Beautiful combinations. Can take a hit. He's got a kind of Diaz Stockton attitude where he just smack talks to you, gets in your head. He kind of plays out mind games in the middle of the fight as well. So he's an asterisk for me, Bobby Green. I think if he doesn't turn up, I think Drakkar could just grind him out, get him against the cage, frustrate him, just keep him tight, maybe get him down a couple of times and just wear on him for 3 rounds. But I'm annoyingly going to put my faith in Bobby Green and say, Bobby, you're going to turn up today. You're going to turn up and do what we know you can do. I've got faith in you, Bobby. Bring those hands back. Bring the hands back, baby. I'm going to go Bobby Green. Stoppage. Round 3. That is a wild one. I like picking a wild one each card. I've got a feel I'm picking wild calls. But if Bobby Green rocks up, Will, His hands are horrible. He can pick away at you, and I think he can maybe put Klose away in the third. Or crazy like that.
I think you know what Drakkar Klose is going to do. Because he's did that in every fight. He's looking to get a hold of you. He's looking to just rough you up a little bit, put you against the cage. And against someone like Bobby Green, who's, I don't want to say it's his toughest fight, but it's definitely a guy who's got serious experience advantage over him. So this is a big fight in that case. And Bobby Green's got like a kind of crazy output as well. He can go, he lands a lot of shots. If you start to wilt, he will put it on you. He has, I think, faced some guys with kind of some deficiency, like Lando Venata's head's there, he puts his hand down, he's there to be hit, and eventually he started to kind of hit him towards there. And I think that fight ended in a draw, and he was maybe a little bit lucky and maybe not to get that decision. But I think it was actually a pretty decent draw. Looking at it, you don't really want to see draws in this sport. You kind of want to see one guy win, whatever. But I think as a fight, that's as close to a draw as you're really kind of going to see. But a good output. He lands a lot. He's always the underdog. He's always got tough fights. I mean, Barboza. Look at the people he loses to, like Barboza, Poirier, Magomedov. Yeah,
but remember the Poirier fight though. That was well mental. Like,
yeah, that was crazy. Back and forward, yeah. And then eventually Poirier thrives in those chaos fights. So if you hit him with something, he'll come back with you, and he will end up putting you down. That's what kind of happened there. But yeah, just a crazy output. Even in the Eric Koch one, he completely busted Eric Koch up in that fight. I think double the amount of strikes that he had.
Yeah.
And he can keep a pace. Now, what he has to worry about here is Drakkar Klose is definitely going to do what he's did in the past, and he's just going to hold on to you, put you against the cage, and look to kind of grind on you. And I think he's going to do that for kind of longer parts of this fight than Bobby Green really wants him to do it. But I think he's a live fighter in this one. Don't get me wrong, I really do. Drakkar Klose gets takedowns pretty much in every one of his fights, but he is there to be outstruck. David Tamer showed the kind of right thing to do. Be light on your feet, move off, don't get kind of caught up and tangled up with this dude. And if you can do that, I think Bobby Green's got the kind of game plan to do that, actually. I think he's
sneaky. He's sneaky, and
he's a good fighter. He's a guy that, if, like you said, and I've said this before on my YouTube channel, it's like if his head's in the right place, the guy's dangerous, and I hope it is, because he's always got a lot of shit going down in his personal life. Brothers have been dying, and getting shot up and stuff, and it's crazy. I think it's a live fight. I'm going to go Drakkar Klose though. Very, very close split decision. I think Bobby Green's going to have parts in this fight when he's going to start to piece up Drakkar Klose. Don't get put against the fence. But I think it's close. I'm going to edge Drakkar. It's probably my least confident pick in the whole entire card, though, I'll be honest. I think that Bobby Green's a live fight on this one.
Yeah, it's an asterisk, isn't it? It's it's horrible. Okay, so we're going to go to it's a strange one, but it's apparently the main event on the card. Zach Ottow against Dwight Grant, which is another Dana White Tuesday night contender fighter. Yeah, well, strange one to have this. I'd have the one below the Bobby Green Drakkar Klose as the main event, but whatever. You know, I don't pick a card. Zach, I suppose, because he trains with Duke. Maybe that's why they're doing it. But okay, that's happening. What do you see, Will, in this one?
Like I said, I think it's I'm always interested with these guys that are from the Contender Series fights, how they kind of match them up and who they match them up against with. And I like this fight for what's his name? Dwight Grant. Sorry, I'm thinking Griffin from earlier on. I like what I see from him. I think he comes from a legit camp, obviously, AKA. He's got some decent striking. You know, if you're coming from that camp, the grappling's going to be fairly decent, because it's when you look at the champions that are in there, they're all pretty dominant in the grappling aspect, but they've also got really good striking coaches as well that come out of there. And I like what I see from him. I've seen the betting line. I think it's a little bit high for him. He's a big favourite, and I can see why he's a big favourite. certain fights, but when you go back and watch some of them, these other fights aren't that great. To be fair, Zach Otto isn't that great. And he's a guy that I never really rated at all when he came into the UFC. I thought that he was pretty decent is the kind of best word to kind of say things for him. And since he's come into the UFC, he's really just kind of traded wins and losses. And his losses are to fairly decent fighters. I suppose Sage could turn out to be a good fighter in the future. Li Jingliang's tough, as is Sergio Moraes. And his wins over Buckman, Kunamoto, and Mike Pyle, nothing to really write home about. But he is fighting at home, fighting out in Milwaukee, so that's going to make it's going to be a big week for him upcoming. I just think that Dwight Grant's too slick on the feet. I think he can be hit with shots as well. So, and the majority of times that Otto loses, I'll go Dwight Grant via TKO in round number 2. It's not a fight I've looked into a lot, to be honest with you. I've watched a couple of fights, but I was going to do a lot more in Dwight Grant, but kind of real life got in the way and I wasn't able to watch those extra couple of fights. But I'll go Dwight Grant. I think the betting line's a little bit off, I'll be honest with you. But yeah, I'll go Dwight Grant via TKO round 2.
Yeah, I was a bit unsure of this at first because I saw Zach Ottow and I thought, well, he's had to be hit. Doesn't take the hits too well, you know, a little bit chinny. You know, he breaks, he kind of wilts. You know, when you start landing a few on him, he just gradually starts to wilt away. With Dwight Grant, though, in the Dana White matchup, that dude was like, he had a ball of tension and nervousness in him. Like, he just stepped in and started swinging at thin air. I don't know what he was aiming at. I don't know what he was doing. It was like he was trying to just get rid of all that tension out of him and just started wailing around. And so at first it's like, this dude trains at AKA. There is no way Javier would have someone striking like that come up to the... No way. He had 2 years out, to be fair, to his credit, you know, 2 years out because he had a lot of fights. I feel like 6 or 7 fights fall through. Absolutely mental. But came in after a 2-year break. So why on earth he's getting into the Dana White Contender Series on a 2-year break is beyond me. Nothing to do with the connections he has at AKA. Anyhow. And then he was getting not the better of Hill in that fight, if I'm honest with you. I thought Hill was doing a lot better. Dwight throws an overhand right. As long as you put up your left arm and block that overhand right, as long as you can just put that out, keep it tight, and just absorb that hit, I don't see much from Dwight that should worry anyone. Zach Ottow, though, do I think he's going to put his hand up every time? No. Do I think he can take the blow? No. But I don't see... I think Dwight's got an easier fight again, kind of like June down at the bottom of the card, the heavyweight fight. They've given him a suitable matchup. But if I was Duke Rufus and I was training Zach Ottow, my command would be really simple. I'd be circle to his left, like Dwight's left, to circle away from the overhand right. Keep your left hand up the whole time. And just every time he throws that big right hand over the top, block right straight away. Don't even blink. Don't even think. Just block and throw that right straight. Reason being is because Dwight likes to throw the overhand right and come up with a left uppercut if he can. So if you can block and have an immediate, as soon as that connects, pop, throw that right hand, mate. You're gonna connect to his chin while he's throwing that left hand, because that left hand's going to be in motion. It's going to be throwing over the top. That left hand's going to start to come up as you corkscrew that up. Look, there's a gap. If you could do that, if you could drill that, you could put Dwight down every time. Because I've seen him do it in the fight, and I went, it's just there for the taking. I think Duke could see it. I don't know if Zach has the confidence to throw it. It's a horrible one to call this. It's a horrible one. I'm going to go. I'm going to go Zach Ottow. Decision. I think he'll grind him out with grappling. Just get him against the cage, hug him, hold him, get him down, and just get the win. I just get a weird feeling that Dwight's going to be a little bit nervous. He'll have a little bit of tension, and he just won't be able to get his timing, and he'll throw those big looping strikes. And honestly, if you just watch Dwight's fight, it's the easiest thing to counter in the world, honestly. And I would be surprised if Zach hasn't had that drilled into him. So, a decision, Zach. But anyway, next up we have in the lightweight division. Whew. Can we just have this as a no-gi grappling bout? Can we not just do? Can we not just like subtly say in the back, like the UFC staff, just say to Jim Miller and Charles Oliveira, lads, we know it's a UFC fight, but look, let's just do gentleman's agreement. You don't throw any strikes, and you just both fall over and fall on the ground together and start grappling, but don't throw any strikes and just do grappling. All right, good. Yeah, we're good. Yeah, awesome. Let's go. Oh my gosh. 2 ninjas on the ground, and for different reasons. God, I can't wait for this. Well, I can't wait for this fight. Absolutely ridiculous. It starts on the feet, though. That is the thing. Every fight starts on the feet. Jim Miller, I'll be honest with you, I think you and I thought maybe it was the end of Jim Miller's days. Medical reasons being the big factor of it with him. But at the same time, his last fight, he suddenly just was like rised up like a phoenix from the flames. It was the Jim Miller of old that we knew. We were just, and I won't lie, Will, I don't know about how you felt, but I was really happy. I was made up because I love Jim Miller to bits. How did you feel when you saw him win?
Yeah, it was. Well, these guys have been around the UFC for years. You're still rooting for them, especially Jim Miller. He's a really nice dude, and nice to see him get the win. Yeah,
it was, and so like, man, I was like, dang, Jim's not kicking the can yet, and I thought, ooh, Charles Oliveira, god dang, that's going to be a hell of a fight. Charles Oliveira, obviously, is going to have a bit of the range here. He's going to have the long legs and long arms. Jim Miller has to close distance down. The problem with Jim Miller has, though, with closing the distance down, it might end up in the clinch game. It ends up in the clinch game. Then you've got Charles Oliveira going for his flying triangles and pulling guard and all this. But if you're Jim Miller, do you worry too much? Because you think, well, dude, I'm a ninja myself on the ground. Man, it's going to start standing. I thought Jim's chin was maybe going to go in this, but I know Charles doesn't have a chin. He really doesn't have that much of a chin, Charles Oliveira. If you can crack him, you can break him. This one, I'm really stuck on. This fight is horrible to call. Only because of Jim's last performance. You know, he said he's figured out the medical issues that he was having, so he's cleared that up. Was it Lyme disease? I think it was, he said. It's Lyme disease. So he said he's figured that out. He's got everything, like nutrition-wise, health-wise, how to get himself healthy. So I'm thinking, right, well, if that's the case, maybe those previous fights, he wasn't the best he could be. So maybe he's back to what he was. And what he was before was a badass, let's be honest with you. Charles Oliveira doesn't like getting hit in the face too much. He's good on the ground. Striking's coming along a little bit more every time. But, man, it's a horrible one. I'm going to go Jim Miller because I just love the guy to bits. This is a fight where I'm stuck. I'm really stuck, ladies and gentlemen, because Charles Oliveira could submit you and be in a different room. He's that much of a ninja with grappling. But I'm going to go Jim Miller TKO. I think I'm going to go Jim Miller. I just think he could hurt Charles Oliveira and he could put him on his backside and just finish him with some ground and pound. But I'm not overly confident on this fight. On who to pick. It's super tight for me. I think that both of them have got such an elite skill set in certain aspects that they could cancel each other out. It could just be a draw, and both of them could just be not doing much on the feet. But I'm going with Jim Miller. Well, yeah, it's a weird match, but it's a fun one.
Yeah, it's a rematch that took place literally 8 years from tomorrow, 2010. That's crazy. I still remember that fight. I'm like, holy shit. I forgot that Charles Oliveira's actually been around that long in the UFC. And a guy I love watching fight. I think he's got quit in him, which I think he will always have with certain guys. I think there's people out there that are maybe fast twitch strikers that once he gets hit with a shot, he's like, we've seen it in the Holloway fight. We've seen it in the Cub Swanson fight, I think it was. Where
Cub Swanson, when he hit him with that big overhand right, and he just kind of sat down, went nah.
Yeah, he didn't want any more of that. And you have to be careful having your money on people like that and picking guys like that. But the guy is so dangerous. If he's on, he's so dangerous. I think his striking's underrated. I think he fights long. I think he's got a good jab. I think he's got a good low kick. That's something that's really kind of came into my eye the last couple of years. But that submission game's still there, and he's still super deadly with it. I was just looking back. This is going to be his 22nd, 23rd fight in the UFC.
Crazy, isn't it?
He's won 11 or 12 performance bonuses. So the guy's made himself a hell of a lot of money in the UFC through his bonuses. Lost to Jim Miller via leg lock. Knee bar. But that's a long time ago. I think if I'm Charles Oliveira here, and by the way, I think that Jim Miller was kind of in his pomp round about then as well. I think he was in his late 20s, coming into his prime. I don't think he's in his prime anymore. It was great to see him win last time out. If I'm Charles Oliveira, I look to kind of beat him up on the outside as he's coming in, count him with the shots and use your length. And eventually, these two are going to get into a scrambling battle. They're going to get into a battle where they're going to be grappling or clinching or something. And knowing Oliveira, he'll jump for something. He could easily get put in his back, maybe work his way up the body of Jim Miller. I think he's going to submit Jim Miller this time. I think he's going to catch Jim with something. Like I say, I think that Jim's closing in the end of his career. It was great to see him win last time out, like we've both said. I just think that Charles Oliveira will catch him with something more in this one. And I'm going to pick him via submission. Maybe a late round 1, early round 2. I'm going to pick him to win. He's so dangerous at any point. Yeah. That he can literally just latch on something, and I think he'll get himself another performance bonus as well.
Yeah, it's a hard one for me to pick, because I just thought, we said before, it's that quitting him. And I think, do you know what? I don't know who to pick. That's why I went Jim Miller. But we'll go with next up in the bantamweight division. Woo! Well, you want to be flyweight? No. You got to go up a weight class. Sergio Pettis, you got to take Rob Font on. Now, that's horrible. Unlucky Sergio. That's a hell of a match to step into the bantamweight division for. But look, they've booked a couple more flyweight bouts up until the first pay-per-view of the year. They've scheduled in a couple more. I think it's partly to maybe finish guys' contracts and stuff, and maybe like that as well. Obviously, they're doing a favor for Benavidez, partly because his missus works for the UFC as well, which kind of helps. But Rob Font, Sergio Pettis, Will, as unbiased as you can be to the Pettis brothers. Let's see here.
I was surprised. I think this was one of the first matches I heard for this card after 229, when Pettis kind of got grappled, what's what I'm trying to say? Backpacked. That was it. Backpacked by Juicy Formega. For the majority of that fight, he really, just the grappling of Juicy kind of showed. He caught him in the back there, and Sergio, you can see he was looking like he had no clue what to do in that one. And that's around about the time when we heard about the flyweights potentially getting the division getting closed down or whatever. And he was the first guy I think was to move up to 135. And I think as a striking battle, it's like speed versus power. I think Font has more power, but definitely the faster hands and the faster striking comes from Sergio. And I struggle to see this being a grappling fight. I know that he lost pretty convincingly to a grappler last night, but Font's not that type of guy. He's going to want to, I think, keep it on the feet, try and land power shots on Sergio. And I do think he's got the power advantage, but then you look at the technique and the speed of Sergio Pettis. I wish he had a little bit more output. If he had more output, I think he would be far more devastating as a fighter. But he's just not got it, and he's not really got the power to kind of knock you out. So I see this being a close fight across 15 minutes. Of course, the inner Pettis fan of me wants to pick Sergio here, but I think this is a tough fight to move up to 135 against someone like Rob Font, and he only loses to good guys himself. I mean, Assunção's decent, very decent actually, and what's his name, Pedro Munoz as well. He's coming into his kind of pomp at the minute where he looks really good, devastating with his striking, always dangerous with his submissions. And I think that Rob Font can maybe land a little bit more than Sergio. But this could be one of these fights where the kind of hometown decision kind of comes into play, because these rounds I think will be close, and Sergio's going to get the big shouts and the oohs and ahs when he lands the shots. big reactions from the crowd. So I'm going to go split decision win for Rob Font, but would it surprise me if Sergio won? Not one bit. I think it's a close fight, coin flip fight. I think it could go either way.
Yeah, like you said, it's a tough one for Sergio to come into because Rob's a powerful man. You know, he's got some pop in those hands in that division. So when you're coming up from a weight class below, I know Sergio's fought at 155.4, but he was obviously not designed for that. He was going. Its intention was to go down anyway. But Rob's obviously going to be a bigger guy, a bit more power, not just striking, but just in general, in a physical aspect as well. So if Rob did feel like maybe Sergio was just getting the better of him in striking, maybe he might just charge out and just to get him against the cage, throw some knees on the thighs, slow you down a bit. Just, you know, it doesn't seem like a lot of people, when you're watching it on the screen, you think, they just hold each other in these little knees to the thighs. Like they make a difference. They do make a difference. You know, over the rounds, the 3 rounds, those chip on the knees do slow down a bit. They do just take a reaction time a little bit less. So he might do that at the start to just maybe try and tire Pettis out a little bit, the grappling on the arms and the legs, just to maybe take that sting and that spring out of him. That might be one. That would be something I would do as an option. I would probably try and do that to him straight away. But I'm with you with the sense of it's going to be tight. I think Sergio will, on the score, the strikes landed, he'll probably land more because he could throw a more variety of strikes with the kicks as well included. But I just think Rob will definitely show the power difference and he'll land the heavier strikes, but it will show on Pettis' face, which is damage is a key factor in MMA on the scoring cards. So I think Pettis will have, you know, the kind of swollen eyes and stuff like that. So Pettis is a tough cookie. Don't get me wrong, he is a tough kid. I think Rob Font can come back. Considering, was it decision loss to Assun Sao, wasn't it? Yeah. So Assun Sao, who's an absolute savage, who should have fought for the belt already, but the UFC are just whatever they are. Let's just not go there with that. You know, he's an absolute savage, and now you've got him. You got a guy who lost to Assun Sao by decision, which shows a lot in Rob Font taking on Sergio Pettis. Shows that Rob Font's got a high level, and I think he will come better in the decision. I think it'll be a 30-27 unanimous decision for Font. But again, with you, Will, it's not going to be a big gulf in between the two of them because Sergio is a high-quality level fighter. Next up in the co-main event, Will, Edson Barboza, Dan Hooker, sign me up for that. Woo! What a matchup! What a matchup! Hey, Will, let's give some kudos to Edson Barboza. Khabib then signed up straight away to fight Kevin Lee, which we both knew was a silly mistake to make because he just got wrestled by Khabib. What do you think is going to happen with Kevin Lee? But he went straight in too quick. But now he's fighting Dan Hooker, who Dan Hooker himself is just kind of just riding this good wave, man. He's a legit guy. He's a beast. He's got good. He knows how to use his length really well with kicks and strikes. And Dan Hooker's not a wrestler. So if I'm Edson Barboza, I've got to feel a bit of relief with this fight. I think if I'm Barboza, I can absolutely 100% be me. I don't have to worry too much about the kick takedowns. I can release my kicks and my flurries just a bit more open. And it's what we're going to see. I think we're going to see this in this fight. You know, the Barboza had the problem with his past 2 fights was high-level wrestlers, and he just couldn't be what he is. You know, you're going to see that switch kick, which is a lightning fast and disgustingly delicious. I think you're going to see a lot of striking from Barboza. And I think the problem with Dan Hooker is he's going to find the output's going to catch him out a bit. You know, I think Dan Hooker's legit. He's got not high output. He's a very patient, calculated fighter. But Barboza just throws a good out. He's got a good outlet of strikes, and he can, like I say, the leg, body, and head kicks. The variety in which he can throw the types of hit kicks. He's not per se a big boxer, but he can set up the strikes before the heavy kicks. I think that Dan Hooker might come a bit unstuck with it in the leg kick side of things, where I think Barboza's going to land a lot of leg kicks, and I think it's going to affect Dan Hooker because it will slow him down on the movement. So when he's trying to close down Barboza, that leg won't be as quick. When he wants to throw his own strikes, that leg kicks are going to take a toll on him. I think you might see the pair of them get busted up in the face a bit. Bro, I'm going to go with Barboza decision because I think Dan Hooker can toughen out a bit. I think he can toughen out here. I wouldn't be surprised if he got knocked out by Barboza. I've got a feeling Barboza's back, with this fight. I think it's a good fight for him to come back to. I love Dan Hooker. I think if Dan Hooker gets it to the ground, I don't think he's a strong enough wrestler to stop Barboza. But, man, I'm looking forward to this. I think Dan Hooker's a good fighter. He's got great striking for his body type, but I just think Barboza's like a kind of kryptonite to what he wants to be.
Yeah, it's interesting to see whether, because the big thing I think this year and maybe the last 18 months is fighters who move up a division have been successful. Like, it's plain and simple there. If you move up a division, don't deplete yourself, then your performance gets better, and that's what it's shown with Dan Hooker, because I thought he always thought he was a decent fighter.
Yeah.
But you look at the people he lost to, like Jason Knight. Jason Knight can't win a fight to save his life at the minute. Maximo Blanco, so on. But since he's moved up to 155, the guy looks totally different. He looks a lot more dangerous than he ever did, I think, at featherweight. And he's come in there and he's got four stoppages in the part of like 16 months. Knocked out Ross Pearson. Oh, brutal knee. Submitted Mark Diakese in the third. Knocked out Jim Miller with a knee. Knocked out Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns I think that's a good win because Gilbert Burns at the weekend looked phenomenal against Olivier Aubin-Mercier.
Yeah,
and he's one of those fighters that can easily move up levels. I think he's got the jiu-jitsu. His striking looked on point. But Dan Hooker absolutely ran through him in that fight. Now, this is a step up, definitely, for Dan Hooker. And I think it's a step down for Edson. You look at the guys he's been facing. His losses are to the best guys in the division. One's main eventing, going to be the main event guy in this one here. Khabib just ran through him. He showed super heart in that fight, by the way. He landed some decent strikes of his own, but just Khabib's pressure wore him out. Kevin Lee got takedowns. So I think, if I remember right off the top of my head, Khabib got 4 takedowns. Kevin Lee got takedowns. You said that Hooker's not he's not a guy that's going to come in and look for takedowns. I don't think he will here either. He's never shown that in the past of being like that. So this predominantly is going to be a stand-up fight. And when you stand up with Edson Barboza for the majority of the time, I should say, you're going to be in a disadvantage with this guy because the guy is so speedy with his strikes. We don't even need to talk about how nasty his leg kicks is. The fight this kind of reminds me of, I don't want to say reminds me of, but I was the same mindset I am thinking of was against Anthony Pettis, striker v striker. And he totally busted the ass of Anthony Pettis in that fight. I remember, I think was that fight in Vegas? I was at that fight.
He chopped the inside of his leg, didn't he?
Pettis, yeah, after the fights, Anthony showed me his leg and it was purple, it was black. I've never seen anything like it. And he was wearing shorts as well, which was funny. It was just like showing it off like a badge of honor, which is pretty cool. But in a striking battle with Edson Barboza, if you're not on point, you're going to be in deep trouble. And there's a couple of things here. I do think Edson is descending in his career. I think we've seen as good as he's going to get. Plus, he's moved to a new camp. He's went to American Top Team. So I'm like, what are they going to do? What are they going to do with him? It's a little bit weird that he's moving on this late in his career.
Might just be wrestling. It could be a wrestling aspect where he might just be like, look, show me a bit more wrestling defense, a bit more ways to get up, and that's all I need to know. I don't care about the grappling side on the ground. I just want to get up. It could be that. Yeah.
But the guy's dangerous at any point. He sort of showed that in the Dariush fight. He was actually probably losing that fight as well. Before that, was he? He maybe lost the first round. Second round, he was winning before he caught the flying knee. Kicked the hind legs off Gilbert Melendez. Did it with Pettis. That's what I think he has to get back here because Hooker's a big dude, lanky legs. They're there to be chopped at. I think if he can do that, I just don't see Hooker going for takedowns. So it's going to be a striking fight. And I think in striking fights, you've got to favour Edson Barboza. So I'm going to favour Edson Barboza, even though I've been flip-flopping like a bitch on this fight. I've been going back and forward a lot. I was on Barboza originally. 3 days ago, I was on Hooker. This afternoon, watched some more fights, back on Barboza. So I'm going to pick Edson Barboza via decision. Because I do think that Dan Hooker's an ascending fighter, where I think he's only going up at the minute, but this is a big step up from who he's faced at lightweight. Your Jim Millers, your Gilbert Burns, to an Edson Barboza, who's a perennial top 7 guy in that division for the last couple of years and has been. But we might see like Dan Hooker's that guy to kind of take that space now. So we'll see. I feel more confident picking Barboza. I think he chops down Hooker and maybe gets a stoppage. More likely decision win for me for Edson Barboza.
Nice. Okay, bro. Next up, main event. The rematch. Kevin Lee, Iaquinta. It's not even like they're both in different areas of their career. They just went up. The pair of them just keep going up. Apologies. They're both of them are just kind of just keep going up in their career. So it's kind of cool to see, if I'm honest with you, from when they first fought to now, that the both of them kept just going. You know, one of them didn't stutter down and just kind of falter away or whatever. The pair of them just kept going up constantly. I like seeing this. So we're seeing two badass lightweights square off. You know, you've got a guy in Iaquinta who was kudos against Khabib, and if he beats Kevin Lee, he might get himself another shot. And then Kevin Lee, vice versa, if he beats Iaquinta, gets himself a shot. It's going to be entertaining. It's going to be a cracking matchup. But what's your prediction and views on this fight?
Another rematch. We were talking about that earlier on with Jim Miller and Charles Oliveira. This is one nearly 5 years in the making. It was Kevin Lee's first fight in the UFC. I want to say it was maybe Iaquinta's first fight in the UFC as well. No, it wasn't. It was his second fight. And it was a very, very, I thought it was a close decision, and Iaquinta got the decision in that one there. That was a young Kevin Lee. Kevin Lee was really, really young at that point. I'm not saying that
he was green. He was green, very green.
He was. And we've seen that Kevin Lee is definitely fight in and fight out. Is making huge improvements. Like in between, I think every fight you're going to see huge improvements in his skills, and I'm looking forward to it. It's an interesting rematch for the fact that, like it's 5 years pretty much in between the last fight. Al really doesn't fight. He's doing his own thing outside, which is fair dues to him. He talks a good game. He's got himself probably a lot more money now. Through his fighting career than he probably thought he would. And he got himself a title fight as well, which is probably something that I definitely didn't see ever happening, I'll be honest with you. And he gave a good... I don't think you can take anything away from Iaquinta in that fight. He went in there, I think, was it a day's notice, was it?
Yeah, it was meant to fight on someone. Yeah, it's just like everyone else failed. Well, it was... Who was it? Paul Felder. It was because they wanted Paul Felder, but because he wasn't in the rankings... They put Iaquinta in, didn't they? That was it. Yeah.
And like Al's, to be fair, he's a guy he comes from a wrestling background, really good wrestling. But his striking's decent as well. He's got some power there that he showed a couple of years ago. We don't see Al all too much. So we don't know. The thing that worries with me is like how much is he actually in the gym? Because he's got all these, he's selling houses outside of it, doing this and doing that. And Kevin Lee, to me, I think is one of these fighters that I just think every fight he gets better. And he took his licks in that fight with Edson Barboza. I think he was winning it pretty comprehensively before doing the chicken dance. Was it the fourth round, I want to say?
Yeah.
I think it was that. But he was outstriking Barboza as well. But the strikes that Barboza was landing were devastating on Kevin Lee. And that's something there that... that's a devastating striker. Iaquinta's not a devastating striker, but I'm still a little bit worried about Kevin Lee's chin, I'll be honest with you. But I love his grappling game. I love how strong he is. I want to see that he makes weight because that's something that I think he struggles with. Like 165, there's talks, I think, is that UFC 233, they're going to announce this 165 division. I keep hearing that. I've had a few people tell me. So it'll be interesting to see if that kind of comes around. But that guy's made for 165. That guy would be a beast at 165. I'm going to pick Kevin Lee. I think he can get takedowns. I think striking wise now, I think he's got some big power, but I think Al's got some big power as well. So he has to be. I'm not super sold on Kevin Lee's chin just yet. I think that he leaves it out there and he can be hit a little bit. But I just don't think Al's the type of guy that's going to capitalise on that. So I'm going to go Kevin Lee. I think he'll mix it up. I think he'll get a stoppage somewhere in this fight. I do. I think maybe a submission win. I think he's got a really decent choke in him. So Kevin Lee, maybe third, fourth round submission.
If Kevin Lee gets you back, it's pretty much over. You know, he's shown it.
Deadly.
Like, yeah, he is. He's got that kind of vice grip on that neck. If Al gets his back taken, we can all just end it there and then. You know what I mean? He is fantastic with that position on the ground. Look, Iaquinta and Kevin Lee is going to be wonderful. I just hope the UFC give us a corner cam, and I'll just watch that. I won't even watch the fight. I'll just watch the corner cam. That will probably buy. You'll probably get more pay-per-views for that than you will your New Year card. Honestly, those two, Ray Longo and Matt Serra in the corner, that'll do me. Thank you very much. But on a serious note, I think that's one thing I love about them. You know, the corner, they're constantly shouting instructions, constantly, you know, assisting their fighter. And what they do is they're very smart in what they say to fighters. So I think Iaquinta's always in a safe place when he's fighting with the support he's got. And that's one big factor that helps a fighter. Like in the Khabib fight, they were giving him great instructions for defensive work, etc. So if you watch that, that's a big part of it. So I think Kevin Lee can get the takedowns on Iaquinta eventually, and I think when they get on the ground, both of them are strong grapplers. I just think with Matt Serra there, he knows exactly what probably Kevin Lee wants to do. He'll probably see exactly where Kevin Lee's trying to get Iaquinta to go, and that's where I think Iaquinta, if he listens to his corner, reacts to what he says he does, he probably will be able to get back up again. So I don't know if I don't know if Kevin can get the submission. I think that if the support of Matt Serra, if Iaquinta listens, he could probably get out of the trouble or the potential danger of getting his back taken, for example. But on the feet, the conditioning alone that Kevin Lee has supports his chin. And that was like Bisping. Bisping's a good example. We all said Bisping's chin was never the best chin. But as we saw, Anderson Silva, etc., he got absolutely clocked. But his physical attributes of great conditioning helped his chin and helped him recover quicker. So I think that's one thing Kevin Lee's got going for him. And this is what I think is going to help. I think the conditioning that Kevin Lee has, and especially because the more 5-round fights that Kevin Lee has, I think it helps him a lot better. Because at first he showed a bit of potential gas tank issues at first because he was so obsessed with getting a takedown. He would blow all his energy so early on in fights that he would just be tired. But I think that with the more 5-round fights he's had, he's learned when to make the smart moves for the takedowns, when to expend that energy and when not to. I think he is just getting better, Will. I think you're spot on, mate. I think he does grow all the time. He's a smart fighter. We've met him. He's great, really nice guy. Smart head on him, and I'm going to go Kevin Lee decision. So I just think there's something about Iaquinta. He's just a tough bastard, let's be honest. A New Yorker, tough as nails. And Iaquinta's training. Like, he is training hard. He's in camp with the boys. He's training with killers all the time, you know. We know at Sarah Longo's gym, it's just full of array of talent. You know, Aljamain, Weidman, you know, those boys, Gian Vellante, all those guys. It's packed. That's really and all that. So top level guys. So I can never write off Iaquinta. He's a guy who I love on Twitter because every time he retweets someone's tweet, he puts some kind of way about selling or buying a house in there. So he's got a good sense of humor. I love that about him as well. But yeah, the 165 thing you said there, Will, if Dana does do a 165 division, that's because he knows that everyone was right with the 165 division, but didn't want to say they were right, and then pops it up suddenly. That's because, Dana, people don't say it to be awkward. It's because we know it's right, and you're just too stubborn to admit it. Do a 155, 165, 175, 185. End of. Shut your trap and just do it. He whinges at Tyrone Woodley for a start. Oh, Tyrone Woodley doesn't blah, blah, blah. Well, if you're that bothered, just don't have that division. Have a 175. That would make Tyrone stamp his feet more. If you're that bothered about him, which you shouldn't have a go at Tyrone, by the way, because Tyrone fought 4 times in 1 year. How many UFC champs do you see do that? And then he had shoulder surgery, so give him a break. Do you know what I mean? Like, absolutely. That gripes me that when he had to go with Tyrone for that.
I see that, was it Brave FC? They've got rid of the welterweights and they've put the
super lightweight and super welterweight
welterweight. So that's interesting. I think it's I think it's something that is needed. I think if you're getting rid of the flyweights, you need one more division. And the amount of fighters that are going to go from 170 to 160, like Gunnar Nelson, like at the weekend. Think it that way. Jesus Christ, Cerrone, Gunnar Nelson, Kevin Lee. You're going to have so many people at 155. It's going to be sick. Like Conor McGregor's going to put himself in there. You're going to get Nate Diaz. It's going to put himself in there if Nate Diaz comes back. Poirier's going to put himself in. There's so many good fights to put together.
How much good is the guys who are killing themselves to make 70? Will make 175 a bit healthier. Yeah, so you'll get better performances out of them. They don't have to go 15 pounds, which is over a stone, to another weight class. They'll be able to go 5 pounds. Like even Tyrone Woodley cutting to 170 is a big cut. So 5 pounds for him, that's great. He'll look so much better at 175. I think Woodley will. You know, people like you won't see guys at 185 going, "Oh, I'll drop another 10 pounds." It's not going to happen. So I can't. The fact that they haven't what gripes me is Dana will make it out like it's his idea. It's not your idea, mate. Everyone else said it before you. So it's just, Dana, you're really starting to gripe me of late. Honestly, your behavior like he always said one or two things, but of late he's just been an absolute bell end is the best way to put it for Dana White. Okay, so that's that. Let's go to bets, Will, because like you said before, a ton of underdogs, crazy odds going on this card. So we mentioned before, but can you say them again as well? Just on a couple, there's a couple of parlays that you think might be working, what prop bets, whatever you think, give advice. And also, Will, I forgot to mention, we had a listener last week who asked for your bets. What we'll need you to do is, we'll need to remember when we post it, is put your bets down. Even if you give me them, I'll put them in the comment section. I'm saying it now for everyone at home as well who's listening. We will get it sorted. But Will, what do you see in this card? What do you foresee for this?
I think there is parlays you can put together. I think it's risky because there's a lot of big kind of heavy favourites. Like Jack Hermansson's a guy I like, but I think the line, he's a heavy favourite. I think Meerschaert is a tough fighter and he's always a dangerous fighter. Kevin Lee as well, he's a big, like he's minus 300. Iaquinta's beat him before. He's got that mental kind of advantage over him, beating him before, and that could eat away at Kevin Lee and potentially not be good for him. Like I said, I like some of the underdogs. I like Joaquim Silva. I like Jessica Rose-Clark. I think they're two. I might have maybe bet a couple of them already with higher odds because the odds are kind of shortening a little bit. I want to put a parlay in there, but I'm going to really keep my eye on it because last week I bombed on a part like Charlie Priest and Gadelia looked shot. Charlie Priest, I think, I don't know whether we maybe even see him in the UFC again. His chin looks like he's gone, and because Diego Lima's like not a power hitter at all, and Gadelia is just like. But I'm not taking any away from Ansarov because she fought a great fight. I like kind of Hermansson as a piece in a parlay. Don't know who else I'm gonna put him with. So
like Hermansson and say for example Silva.
Silva's an underdog, so it's just betting him straight. The other two people that I kind of want to play right now, Jessica Rose-Clark's another one, but I'm kind of being a little bit cautious because I did this the last time against Jessica when she was underdog, and I kind of got drawn into the plus money and ended up losing that one. So I'm kind of being a little bit careful with that. But I've got Bet MMA tips, and if you just put in my name, you just put in Will Martin MMA, you'll see what bets I've made. Probably have a look on Friday because that's when I usually get all my bets in ready for the weekend. but I'll try and remember and message you, and we can drop them down there. But like the listener last week, I think it was Sam, I think his name was. Like, betting's a hard thing to get right and hard to get good at. I'm not good at it. Like, I'm last year, if you went and looked at my record, you would see that I wasn't good at betting. It's weird because it's right when my little girl came is when I went. So I obviously took my eye off the ball. This year has been totally different. I've been my eye on the ball from the very first event. Never took it off. Looked in it a lot more. And this year I've just blew out the water. Didn't at the weekend there. I kind of only made a slight loss because Jack Shore won me money at Cage Warriors. And Max Holloway kind of saved me towards the end. So it was only a slight little loss for the weekend, but it was a loss nonetheless. But you got to remember, it's your money at the end of the day. So this is why I go on my YouTube channel and say, look, don't hypothetically just look at my picks and think, oh, they're going to win, because this is just my opinion. You watch the fights, you make your own opinion. It's your own money. I'm not playing with your money. You do what you want with it. And I've had many an argument, discussion with people say, like, you say this and you say that, and I bet that. It's like, but it's your money. Don't take my pick as gospel. Now, sometimes if my pick comes through, then I'm like, oh, you're one of the best at picking this. It's like, it's just me looking at a fight and thinking who I think is going to win. If you can do the same, then like that. So people have offered me money for the bets that they've won, and I don't take any of that because I don't think it's fair. It's just me giving my opinion on a fight. But at the end of the day, it's your money. Be careful. Don't bet over your means. If you're having any trouble with it, step away. Because once you get into that dirty hole of betting on fights and losing money and getting into a mire, it's bad, and it can obviously lead to a problem. Like last year, I think, who was it? Very Highland Gunnar Nelson against Ponzinibbio. We were at that event, and I lost a lot of money in that event. I can't remember how much it was. It was a shitload of money. And then from there, I literally drew myself back. I halved what I was betting. Still lost money. Took a little bit more off, but then towards the end of the year, I started to win more, and I started to readjust. And this year, I've readjusted up, where I'm betting fairly decent money again, but being smart with it. You've got to be smart with it. You can't go in and, like, this is the one thing, I love YouTube. I love people that make videos on fights, but you have to do your own research. You can't rely on guys like me or Dan Levy or who else there's out there. There's lots of good guys that make picks, predictions, and so on. But it's your money at the end of the day. You've got to do your own research and just be careful with it. Don't bet above your means, and have fun with it. Don't take it serious. Everybody loves making money, but don't take it serious. I'm not going to make a career out of gambling, but any of the money that I kind of make, I take out, I put some in my daughter's bank account. So when she's run about 16-year-old, she's probably going to have a lot more money than I ever had when I was 16-year-old. But that's just because I take some of the money that I've won and put it in there. But just be careful, because it is a dangerous thing to get involved in if you get in too far. But if you ever have any problems with that, like, come and talk to me. I will send you in the right way to talk to people like that. I've had a couple of people that have did that actually in the past to say, like, I've got a problem. I was like, well, I'm not really a counsellor or any of that, but I can put you in a direction of people you can speak to, and they've stopped betting altogether. Thankfully, they've not came back. So props to them, but just be careful.
Yeah, I know that Sky Bet, for example, does a cooling period. You know, 30-day. You can do like a cool. I don't know about the other sites, but I know that they do that. So that's I like that kind of thing that they stop you going on there. But also, yeah, I do it for fun. Will I do like 50p, 1p, 50p, £1, 50 bets. I just do it for a good crack. You know, I'm not throwing £10, £50, £100, £200 bets. I just do it for a bit of fun. And it's just a bit of a giggle, you know. If I win, whatever. I'm not that fussed. But like you said, Will, listen, watch the fight yourself. Even if like, for example, like Will just said, there's a couple of bets, so there's only 2 or 3 fighters you have to look at. So what's that? An hour of your evening? You know, an hour of your evening just to watch a couple of fights of someone. Then you can make, like you said, Will, make a decision and then go ahead. But don't just. Like you said, Will sometimes wins, sometimes he loses. That is gambling. It's a 50-50 sport. People
take it too serious. That's Like, that's why sometimes I'm a little bit worried. Sometimes I tweet out, like at the weekend, I tweeted out my losses, and the week before that, I tweeted out my wins. And I had a good week the week before. But it's like I'm in a position to do that this year. Last year I was in a really rough position. It's a tough thing. People take it too serious. They think they see people like other people out there making money on it that they can do that, and it's tough. And people just bet too much, and they don't adjust, and they think they have to win money back, and they start chasing bets, and it's just be careful. It's a dangerous thing you kind of get into and getting your head going in head first, and just be careful.
Exactly, folks, and that's our bets, and that's the picks done as well. So that is it. So again, have a jolly time shortly. Enjoy your mince pies, enjoy your stuffing, enjoy your Brussels sprouts, enjoy all that good stuff. And from us, we want to say, have a lovely festive time. Thank you for everyone who's subscribed so far. It's meant a lot to us, and that's pretty much one more card until the end of the year. Will, have you got any festive messages to send out to folks?
No, just enjoy the time with the family. I don't know, when are we going to do this John Jones card? Are we going to do it?
It's the 29th, isn't it?
2 weeks.
It's the 29th the card is on. So
we can do it the 23rd.
We do it next Sunday, next Sunday, because it's not Christmas. So, if you know what I mean, from it's only the 23rd anyway. So, Christmas Eve.
Yeah, we can do that.
We'll do that, and I'll have it out. I'll probably have it out for Christmas Day. I'll probably stick it out or something like that. Yeah. So that is our Christmas present is for everyone.
Or we could even do it like what about let's do it on the 20. Let's do it on the Thursday, because that's my one night I'm actually at home after work at a decent time. And then
you mean the 23rd? Oh, you mean the 20th Thursday?
Yeah, and then you can get it out right before Christmas, so you're not releasing it over Christmas or whatever. So we can get that. We can do that on a Thursday night or something.
That's fine. I can do that then, and we can do
but
that.
Until then, guys, just enjoy Christmas. Like I say, we'll get this good card. Like the John Jones card is legit. It's a great card. So keep your eyes on that. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll be back with you soon. Until next time, take care. Enjoy UFC Milwaukee.